You know that feeling, right? When you just know something is off with your body, but you go to the doctor and all the tests come back normal. Well, for millions of people with neurological conditions, that's not just a feeling, it's their everyday, frustrating reality. But what if I told you that some fascinating new research suggests the key to finally understanding our brain's health might be something we all use every single day? Our voice. It really all starts with this core problem, and this quote just nails it. You have patients who are experiencing very real, very debilitating symptoms, this thing called brain fog. But the very tools we've designed to measure their health are completely blind to it. And this isn't just a small issue, folks. It's a massive gap between what people are actually living through and what the clinical data can show us. So let's start by really unpacking this whole idea of brain fog. Because honestly, it's the central mystery that this new technology is trying to solve. Okay, let's take a rare condition called phenylketonuria, or PKU for short. It's a genetic disorder, and basically, the body can't break down this one substance, which then builds up and can cause problems for the brain. Now, these patients consistently say they struggle with memory, with focus, a kind of persistent mental haze. They know something is wrong. But then they go in for the standard cognitive tests, and the results? They often come back perfectly normal. I mean, can you imagine how disheartening that must be? To feel yourself declining, but have the medical world tell you that on paper, you're fine. So this just begs the question, right? Why is our current system failing these patients so badly? What is it about our traditional medical approach that's missing these absolutely crucial signs? Well, the failure of the current system really boils down to three key things. First off, think about it. Clinic visits are just single snapshots in time. Maybe you go once every few months. That completely misses the daily ups and downs of a condition. Second, the tests themselves are done in these quiet, artificial lab settings. That's not real life. It doesn't show how your brain works when you're juggling a million things at once. And third, a patient's data is scattered all over the place. Lab results here, doctor's notes there. It's almost impossible to get a single clear picture. The whole system is basically designed to miss the subtle, ongoing changes that really define these diseases. Okay, so if the old way is broken, what's the alternative? This is where the research gets incredibly clever, proposing a solution that, in a way, involves listening directly to the brain itself. The central idea is just brilliantly simple. You see, your speech isn't just about the words you're saying. It taps into all these complex brain functions, memory, executive control, how fast you process things. So every single time you talk, you're actually giving a tiny little neurological update. So what if we could capture that data all the time, right from the smartphone that's already in your pocket? This idea turns our speech into what scientists call a digital biomarker. And I love this analogy. Think of it like a vocal fingerprint. You know how your actual fingerprint is totally unique to you? Well, the subtle patterns in your speech, your pace, the complexity of your sentences, your pauses, they create a unique signature of your brain's health at that exact moment. But just having that speech data isn't quite enough. You have to connect it to everything else going on with the patient. And that's where a really powerful AI comes in, called a Relational Graph Transformer, or RELGT. The best way to think about it is like a super smart librarian for all your health info. It takes that vocal fingerprint, and then it cross-references it with your lab results, your medications, your symptoms, and it finds hidden connections and patterns that no human could ever spot on their own. And when you put these two amazing pieces of tech together, that's when you get a potential revolution in healthcare. We could finally move away from just waiting for a problem to get really bad and then reacting to it. Instead, we could shift to a proactive model where we can actually get ahead of the symptoms. This is the real so what. It means we could have earlier, more accurate diagnoses and treatments that are truly personalized to you. Okay, this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at the proof. So researchers ran a study with the exact same PKU patients we talked about before. You know, the ones whose brain fog was being completely missed by all the standard tests. All they did was collect 60-second speech samples and let the AI analyze them. The results were, frankly, striking. They found a really strong link, a negative correlation to be specific, between the blood levels of that harmful substance and how proficient their speech was. In simple terms, as the bad stuff in their blood went up, the complexity and coherence of their speech went down. It was a direct, measurable connection. The AI could hear what the standard tests couldn't see. And the contrast here is just, wow. It's stark.
On one hand, you have the speech analysis, which clearly picked up on significant problems with working memory. And on the other hand, you have the standard cognitive tests scoring those exact same people as perfectly normal. That right there is the difference between catching a problem early and letting it just get worse and worse, completely undetected.
Now, as promising as all this is, let's be realistic. This technology isn't going to be in every doctor's office tomorrow. There are still some pretty big hurdles we need to get over first. So let's just ask that question directly. What's the holdup? What are the big challenges that researchers need to solve to make this a reality for millions of people?
Well, the research paper lays out 4 key areas. First, you've got to prove it works for other diseases too, like Parkinson's or Huntington's. Second, you have to build systems that can securely handle a tidal wave of data from millions of people. That's a huge technical challenge. Third, it has to be super easy for doctors and patients to actually use. It can't just be another piece of complicated software that adds to their workload. And finally, and this one is so critical, you have to make sure it works for everyone, no matter what language they speak, what dialect they have, or where they live.
But, and this is a big but, if we can solve these challenges, the payoff could be absolutely enormous. We could be ushering in a completely new era for how we treat brain health. The ultimate vision here is a fundamental shift in how we approach neurology. We'd move away from our current model, which is just reacting to symptoms after they've already appeared, and move toward a future of predictive insight, where we can intervene before a person even feels the full, debilitating effects of a disease. And the scale we're talking about here is just staggering. We're talking about more than 50 million people around the world who are affected by neurodegenerative diseases. This technology could finally give us a window into the invisible symptoms that so many of them struggle with every single day. So I'll leave you with this final thought. For decades, we have been looking for these incredibly complex, expensive ways to monitor the brain. But this research suggests that a powerful, continuous, and deeply personal biomarker has been with us all along, just waiting for us to actually listen. So could the key to preserving our brain health already be sitting right there in our pockets?